welcome to episode 10 of the Lottie Albert podcast. My name is Lindsey. I am a crochet designer and editor from the Cotswolds in the UK, and welcome to my podcast all about crochet and a few other crafts. This is episode 10. Episode 10. How did we get here? Massive welcome if it's your first time watching. I hope you enjoy what you see, and a very, very warm welcome to anybody who is a returning viewer. Thank you so much. It's so nice to have you back. How have you all been? Normally I try and just film this podcast in one take, and sometimes that works, and other times it's just harder to start, and today is one of those days. So hopefully from here on in we can get into a groove. But yeah, maybe I just haven't spoken enough this morning yet. I feel like it's quite a simple introduction. I just have to say my name, what this is, and then maybe a few facts. And yeah, and yet, some days are harder than others. I realise there's a giant ball of yarn sitting behind me, but I'm not going to talk about that yet. I'm going to start by talking about finished objects, which I like to do first. Try and give myself some kind of sense of achievement. I thought I didn't have any finished objects this week. I do have a couple. I have finally finished my quick corner to corner project that I started a few weeks ago and that I showed you. So this was just a really simple corner to corner graph. I kind of drew it myself, which you can see. Does it need pom-poms? I know, I always say that. Things always look better with pom-poms. Maybe not. Maybe it's just nice, kind of clean and simple. I finished the back with the rest of what I had from the Knitcraft Funky Chunky yarn in this really gorgeous charcoal colour. This yarn is so soft. It's really beautiful. When I reviewed this yarn a couple of episodes ago, I was trying to say how it had a kind of ombre effect across the ball, and you can really see it a lot more clearly in the back of this cushion where I've worked corner to corner, and I've kind of gone, if you haven't done corner to corner before, it works diagonally across, so you can see how the colours sort of change. So it's really nice, and yeah, really quick to work up. I think I used a 8mm hook, and this honestly took me like an hour or so that was perfect. I think joining the two sides together took me longer. There we go. And because I'm super lazy, because I backed it where I had ends from my crosses at the back, I just tied them together. So like I had an end here and an end here, I just tied them, didn't sew them in. If the cushion starts falling apart, then I'll let you know. But I think at the moment, it's a win. It kind of annoys me. I don't know if I've made a mistake or my corner to corner technique maybe just isn't tight enough. I want these crosses to be quite sharp. They're not maybe as sharp as I wanted them, but it's still fun and a nice quick project. And this cushion now lives in this room, in my sort of conservatory, and it matches quite nicely with my boho colour block blanket that I made a few months ago. So that's my first finished object. My second finished object I've helpfully left on the chair opposite, so I'm just gonna lean over. I mean, this is such a cheat of a finished object because I have shown you this hat before, but I've finally attached the pom-pom and sewn in the ends. So I'm counting that as a finished object for this week too. And I have actually made another little hat, which is for our friend's son. They are currently visiting over from Japan. And there's a loose end. I made him a little hat out of the Knitcraft Alpaca leader of the pack that I was talking about a few episodes ago as well. And it's really cute. I'll put in a picture of him here because he is beyond adorable. And we are actually going out to Japan as a family of 4 plus my father-in-law in a couple of months. So if anybody has any tips or must-sees, we're going to be near Nagoya, but I think we're not too far on the train, certainly reachable on a day trip to Tokyo. So yeah, any tips of anybody who's been to Japan or lives in Japan? Is there anyone living in Japan watching this video? If anybody has any tips for travelling with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old on a plane for 12 hours, hit me up. And if anybody has any Japan specific travel advice, hit me up. I need advice on both those topics. Probably the plane one more so, but it's a means to an end, hey? And that's partly why we're taking my father-in-law too. Very handy babysitter. Finished object. I've shown you my cushion, I've shown you my hat, and I've talked about my other little hat. I think that's it. But hey, 3's not bad. Can I count the hat? I'm going to count the hat. More of a finishing off couple of weeks. I have also completed a big project, which I can't show you because it's a commission for Hobbycraft. But hopefully when that's out I can share some pictures with you because it was a really fun make and a really fun concept. That's just cryptic, isn't it? Shouldn't even really tell you, and I can't tell you any more info. But there we go. That's my finished objects. I'm going to talk next about works in progresses. Works in progresses. Before talking about new things, because I feel like my new things segment is what we're all waiting for this episode, so I'm going to make you wait a bit longer and talk about my wins. I talked a lot last time about the Liula, say it right this time, Liula Cowl, which is the cake cowl from Potter and Bloom that I am taking part in, and I know lots of you are too, which is very exciting. This is the cowl that uses 1 gradient yarn cake in its entirety, or its near entirety. I am using Cotton Flowers, which is the yarn that Emma recommends, although you can use Wells or any other kind of 4-ply or lightweight gradient yarns you've got in your stash, really. If you haven't seen this before, obviously I'm going to show you mine, but also definitely check out Potter and Bloom's Instagram or her podcast, and also the hashtags, which I'll put below. Oh, and I should have said this at the start, but if I talk about anything and you'd like more information, then I always put my show notes in the YouTube description box. So if you look underneath the video, there should be a little triangle, pointed down triangle, and if you click on that, it should show you the drop down for the description box, which will have all the show notes. So if there's links to anything, you can click there and it will take you there. Oh. So, my Liula. As you can see from my cake, it was quite a watermelon sort of colourway, starting pink and then going to cream and then going to this minty green colour. So here is, I think officially it's a stole. It's going to be a very long scarf. This is the pattern. It's really beautiful, based on a vintage pattern, and I've worked from the centre of my solid pink, taking me up to lighter pink, and then I've just hit the latest colour change here. And if you can see that, so there, yeah, it's getting quite long already. Maybe considering I last showed you this 2 weeks ago, that's not particularly impressive, but this is 4-ply, man. I'm used to working with super chunky 4-ply. I'm using 4-ply and a 4mm. You can get the Cotton Flowers cakes in 3-ply as well, which I think is what the actual original pattern calls for. But yeah, I'm using 4-ply, and I just love the subtle colour change. It's quite long already. I got a cowl length going on here. But yeah, I'm quite determined to use the whole cake. I know that so I don't think Emma said use sort of 80%, but I kind of think, you know, once you're there, it's going to be long. It's going to be really long. I'm hoping I can wrap it around a couple of times. So yeah, that's a really nice evening project, and I might have sewed it again. I really like projects like this that are fairly repetitive, so now I've got the pattern in my head, I can kind of whiz back and forth across the rows, but just enough differences and interest that you have to, you know, you have to have a certain level of attention to remember where you're increasing and decreasing and where you're chaining, and yeah, perfect level of pattern interest plus colour change keeps me interested. If you haven't watched before, or maybe if you have, I expect it to come across, but I'm not the most patient person. Yeah, I kind of lose interest if things aren't, what is, yeah, for things to catch my attention. I mean, it doesn't have to be particularly crazy, but just colour changes are enough to keep me interested. Are you the same, or are you happy to just mindfully work through, methodic? Yeah. I also don't stick to one project at a time, as you can tell. I have other whips that are definitely still ongoing, but they haven't had much attention over the last couple of weeks. So now I've got that commission out of the way, hopefully I'll have a bit more time to yeah, spend on my own projects. So maybe there'll be more. See, I'm rambling already. I'm sorry. Kind of knew today wasn't going to go well. Somebody on Instagram, I think it was, oh, I want to say Lucamp, but I might get it wrong. Somebody on Instagram, the genius idea, once you've worked part of the way through your cake, very handy way to keep it when you're working with your project. Sort of like a reverse yarn bowl. Ooh, I thought it was a good idea. That's my main whip. That's my main work in progress. I have started something else. If you watched last episode, I had a really gorgeous stack. I mean, I have mustard there today too. I had a really gorgeous stack of mustard yarn, and I've forgotten to bring down any of the balls of yarn with their ball band on, but this is the colour for memory. This is the Rico Alpaca Fashion Dream. It's definitely those 4 words, but possibly in a different order, which is a yarn I was sent, which has this really interesting texture and construction, which makes it really nice to work with. It's not that thick, but it calls for an 8mm hook. Sorry about the light today. I think it's doing all sorts of weird things every time I hold things up. And somebody said, I like how you smell the yarn. I can't help it. I worked for basically the first couple of years of doing crochet with just acrylic yarn and didn't even think, wow, it doesn't smell of anything, does it? So it didn't even occur to me. And cotton yarn, really, I probably used a bit of cotton yarn. But yeah, just lately, especially since I've been a Knitcraft ambassador for Hobbycraft and they've been sending me yarns to review, I have had access to just far superior yarns, or I suppose just yarns with more natural fibres or different makeups in. And yeah, I can't stop smelling them. Sorry if that grosses anybody out. They've just got that nice woolly smell, like, yeah. Not the old gross woolly smell, like nice new alpaca smell. Gorgeous. And this is so soft. Like, I don't even, obviously it's a video, it's hard to tell, but can you just almost see from how it looks? It's really soft. So I digress. I've started a whip with this because I just could not stop thinking about this yarn, and I know that's really sad, but I was like, what can I make with it? What can I make with it? And trawling Ravelry for patterns. I only have 5 50-gram balls, and obviously crochet is quite yarn hungry by its general nature. I wanted to make a garment or something, but I wasn't sure if I'd really have enough. I probably could have done, maybe I could have gone up hook size. Anyway, I decided to make myself a cowl or a snood because it's so soft. I love the colour. I love wearing this colour. And so, yeah, I just thought it's It's definitely a lot cooler here now. Autumn is coming. Another snood in my life won't hurt. And I found a pattern via Ravelry, which is a free pattern. And it is by Ball, Hank and Skein, I think that's how you say it, for a snood. And I'll show you now. I have started it. It is in the most amazing textural, I suppose it's not really is it a stitch? No, it's not really a stitch. The stitch is not dissimilar from what I was doing last week with my crochet cables. It's front and back posts. I mean, it's, as I said, it's a free pattern, so I'll put the link in and you can go and have a look. But it's designed to look like the herringbone stitch, knit stitch, or it looks like the herringbone knit stitch to me. And I love the look of herringbone stitch, and I've tried before just myself with swatching and experimenting, trying to get something that looks similar, and I haven't succeeded. And I think that, I'm holding it this way. I mean, obviously this is kind of right angles. I suppose the herringbone stitch in knitting is more like how this looks on the diagonal. But I love this, and yeah, I think it's going to make a really great cowl. This is, so far I've used 150 gram, this is so attractive, 150 gram ball. So you can see how much I've gotten out of that. I have 5 of these. I think I'm definitely going to use 4. So I'm going to get a really tall, chunky, I can see saying snood. Is that even a word anymore? Cowl. Let's just say cowl. Yeah, it's going to be good. I love texture in crochet. One of my faves. After kind of filet crochet and variegated yarn, I'm definitely drawn to texture and how structural this is. This is like really yarn hungry, so I'm sure if you're a knitter and you love this wool, you could probably get something decent garment wise out of 5 50 gram balls. Just assuming that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I reckon you probably could. But yeah, this cowl's just gonna eat it all up. But that's okay, because it's going to be super thick and squishy and chunky. I've just messed everything up doing that, but it was pretty messy before, so I'm sure we can all cope. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think that was a good use of the yarn? I felt like I was being a little bit precious about it, and I was like, I need to find the perfect project for it because it's mustard and it's alpaca and it's so amazing. But I am going to wear this a lot, and I think ultimately that's what we want, isn't it? We want for our crochet things, whether they're garments, I've got like alpaca fluff in my eyelashes, whether they're garments or gifts or things for the home or for our children or friends, you just sort of want to feel that your time and energy has been used well, and that afterwards you can still get enjoyment. After the enjoyment of making it, you still get enjoyment of using it or wearing it. So this is definitely going to make me happy. It's pretty much worked in repeats. So sort of from here to here, I've worked 1 repeat. So it's then going to, yeah, work up in that way. The first couple of rows looked bizarre. I was like, is this even right? So if anybody makes it, just stick with it and get past the first couple of rows, and then it starts to make sense and you go, ah, that's how it's going to work out. But yeah, that's my second whip that I'm really into and excited about. That's pretty much it for whips. So I'm going to move on to new things. Now, if you have, you will have seen if you follow me on Instagram, but if not, and you've watched the podcast before, you will also know that I already have too much yarn. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but yeah, I'm by nature a slight hoarder of craft supplies and yarn, and I have recently, I think I said, been asked to be a Knitcraft ambassador, which is basically a kind of brand ambassador role for Hobbycraft, and so they've been sending me free yarn to review, which is amazing. And if you'd said to me a year ago that that would be happening, I would have not believed you. So I'm not knocking it and I'm not complaining. It's amazing. And on Instagram, a very good friend of mine, Thread the Love, Amber, Thread the Love, tagged me in a giveaway. Now this happens quite often if you are a crocheter or a crafter and you go on Instagram regularly. People are quite often doing giveaways and you quite often get tagged. You tag a couple of people, you move on with your life. You don't necessarily think that something's going to come from it. Oh my goodness, I've won a couple of things before. I won an amazing hat. I'll put a little picky in. That was about this time last year. And that was from Waters and Wildwood, which she sent all the way from, oh, I'm going to say America, but now I'm panicking it's Canada. Sorry, I know that's like a terrible thing to get wrong. She sent it across the pond. I also won a really beautiful skein of vegan hand spun rainbow yarn from Little V and Me. That was last year as well. I'm going to put a pic of that in too, just because it's so good and you should go and check her stuff out, especially if you're looking for vegan yarn, because she's recently launched a crowdfunder and is specialising in handspun and vegan yarns and does so much yummy rainbow stuff. So if that's your bag, go and check her out. But yeah, since then, I haven't really, it's just one of those things, isn't it? You enter lots of stuff and you don't necessarily expect to win. And Woolly Mahoosive, who, if you haven't heard of them, specialise in Mahoosive yarns, massive, big, mammoth yarns, were holding a giveaway. And my friend Amber, Thread the Love, tagged me, and I tagged a few people. A few days later, I had a few people saying congratulations popping up in my feed. I was like, congratulations? Oh my goodness, I'd only won the giveaway, right? Not only that, but it's an amazing giveaway. So I won £100, UK pounds, Great British Sterling pounds, whatever the hell we call them, to spend with Andrea of Woolly Mahoosive on anything I wanted in her shop. Oh my god, oh my god. How good a giveaway is that? Such a good giveaway. So, yeah, so I'll show you what I went for. I couldn't not get a giant ball, but I'm going to show you that in a minute because I feel like once I take it down I might not be able to get it back up again. The reason that she was holding the giveaway in the first place was to celebrate. Do you want to sit up? I'm falling over. Sorry if you're a first time viewer, things like that do happen quite a lot. She was celebrating a new yarn which she had released, and now this yarn is not like anything you've seen before, and so I had to get some just to try it. So this is the yarn. It's basically like stretchy ribbon, and this is in the crepe. So I don't know if you can see very well on my poor iPhone, but one side is quite smooth and then the other side has this really gorgeous sort of crepey effect. She has 3 types in this yarn: the crepe, the smooth, and then like a suede version, which now I've got this, I'm like, wow, should have got the suede too to try it out. So this is the rose colourway in the crepe, and I've unwound it all from the ball band, so I can't now remember the exact makeup, but it's got spandex in it. Can you see how stretchy it is? It's amazing. I mean, if you've ever worked with t-shirt yarn, it's great, but one of the downsides is it's so stiff. I'm just going to do this. It's so stiff. It can be quite painful on your hands, or quite hard work on your hands and wrists. It's not a kind of quick and enjoyable make necessarily using t-shirt yarn. And she's not necessarily pitching this as an alternative to t-shirt yarn, but it's the closest thing I can think to compare it to, because when you say yarn, you think this, you don't necessarily think this. But yeah, it's amazing and it's so fun to work with. So I got 2 balls. It comes almost like tape on a on like a cardboard cardboard tube, I'm trying to say. But yeah, I've been making and unmaking a few things. So if you watched last episode, you may remember I was trying to make a cloud rug. I've been trying again. I mean, this does not show the yarn in particularly good light. But here, this is how it's sort of worked out. And it is so fast and such a joy to work with. And also, I'm going to frog this anyway, so don't be alarmed. But how easily it like makes and remakes. So that's a bonus. You could almost make a basket or a rug, and then after a few months or a year, make it into something else. It washes as well, so I think good for, I don't know what I'm trying to say, homewares and rugs and things. And yeah, this is I've got meters of the stuff. It is pretty low, I suppose, what am I trying to say? Low yardage for its length. It takes a lot. So I ordered 2 because I saw that Sarah of Annaboo's House had done a sort of early test pattern for Woolly Mahoosive, and she had made a little sort of clutch bag about this size, and she'd used over one, I'm going to say ball, it's not a ball, but for want of a better word, over 1 ball. And so I thought, okay, it's going to be quite yarn hungry, I'll order 2 and then that'll give me a little bit to play with. So yeah, this is now going to be the cloud rug. I'm basically just determined to make a cloud rug out of something. It's going to happen, it will happen. But yeah, this colour is beautiful. Somebody says it reminds them on Instagram of like ballet ribbon and shoes, and it really, yeah, it totally does. I think any kind of girls, ballet lovers, that would make like a cute ballet cushion or something like that. So yeah, this is, yeah, like I said, nothing I've ever worked with before, and that was the main reason I got it. And I was really pleasantly surprised. I've literally just been like pitched into darkness for some reason. Sorry, I'm not sure why my camera's done that. Yeah, I definitely, if you fancy trying something different, I really recommend this. This is really fun to work with and to play with. It's really bright in here. I'm sorry, I've knocked it, and I've put up my handy board again against the window, but I do have direct sunlight here, so I think my camera's struggling to know what light level is happening. It looks like it's in some kind of spotlight. Ah. Shall I show you that next? Right. This is, oh my goodness, still in its packaging, as you can see. Now this is what Woolly Mahoosive, I would say, specialise in, and if this is so heavy, even my normal handy shoulder prop, this looks ridiculous, look like some kind of Olympian from days gone by. I'll put it on my knee. This is what Woolly Mahoosive specialise in. They have 2 yarns, how well you can see, but like this is the thickness. So if you've ever worked with, if you've ever done any weaving or spinning, and you've come across roving, like the sort of unworked roving, then this is essentially, I think, what this is. She has 2 main bases, I suppose, in the massive yarn. One is a merino and the other one is an acrylic base, which is what I went for, mainly because you get more for your money. But I imagine that the merino is gorgeously soft and beautiful. And yeah, if you've seen any of the really chunky kind of arm knit blankets around on Pinterest or Instagram, then yeah, they're basically using this yarn. So I went for, ta-da! This is like an off-white colourway. I'm honestly slightly out of breath holding it, mainly because I'm horrendously unfit, but anyway. And I'm not breathing, probably. I'm too excited. This is the off-white colourway. There is also like a mustard, which I was really tempted by, but I felt not everything in my life can be mustard. I need to take a break at some point. there's, well, I mean, have a look for yourself. Have a look for yourself. This, like, there's a really big range of colours in this. But I am planning on making Alpaca throw for the end of my bed. And the only slight problem is my bed is super king size. I don't know how that translates internationally, but it's not a double, which is standard. It's not a king size, which is the next one out. It's a super king size. I think my bed is 6 foot by 6'3". Basically, my husband and I should sleep in separate beds because we just like to sleep as far away from each other as humanly possible. But the upshot for making a throw is that I'm going to need a really big throw. So this is a 4 kilogram bale. You can get 6 or even 10. I mean, I don't know how the postman would have delivered that, if it would even have fitted through my door. But yeah, this is a 4 kilogram bale and a ball. I am hopeful, based on what I've seen online and the kind of recommendations, that I can get some kind of a throw that will cover the width of my bed, but it probably will only be maybe this wide out of it. Now, the only thing is, and maybe you can give me some advice on this, or if anybody has used this, you can give me some advice. Obviously, crochet uses more yarn than knitting. So should I try and arm knit with this rather than arm crochet? Because it's so big, no hook is gonna handle this. Well, I guess you could get like a 50 mil hook, but by that point, I think you may as well just use your arm. So should I knit or should I crochet? That is the question. I can probably cope with knitting, but how neat it will be, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous about ruining this, but like, wow, what a giveaway to win. What a giveaway to win. This 4 kilogram ball was around £60, possibly 50. She had a little sale on, just to give you a kind of indication. So 50-60 is going to give you a good throw size for a sofa or the end of a bed. If you want something that's going to cover your whole bed, you're probably looking at closer to £100 in this yarn. But I still don't think that that's entirely unreasonable for just the uniqueness. And yeah, I don't have plans to start this immediately, just because I want to get it right and I need the time and space to do it. But I'm so excited for when this will happen. I just have to find somewhere to store it until then. My husband, I rang him and I said, well, this is the nice Woolly Mahoosive label, by the way. I was like, so I've won a giveaway. And it's free yarn. And he's like, can they just send you something already made up? And I was like, that's not the point. And he's like, well, at least it'll be useful. I was like, what do you mean? I will make something with it. Clearly, he doesn't have a huge amount of faith in the speed at which I produce useful items for the home out of my crochet and yarn. But yeah, it was kind of hilarious because I probably make him sound worse than he is. He doesn't particularly whinge about how much yarn I have or how much space it takes up. He's quite a good egg, but yeah, I said, I've won £100 to spend on more yarn. He was so thrilled. So that's that one. It's really heavy, it's gorgeous. Yeah, check out Woolly Mahoosive if you want to see what else they do and what other colours they do. And yeah, I mean, just go on Pinterest and search for like arm knit blankets and you will see a whole world of gorgeousness. Yeah, or Woolly Mahoosive on Instagram. I'll probably put all the things in already. Future me has edited this, so I've got so much fluff up my nose now. That is the only thing. It's gonna be quite fluffy. I have to keep it away from my children. I don't want a bobbly felted mess. I know that acrylic fibres can't really felt, for any of you pedants out there. Just ignore that. Anyway, the next thing I ordered from them, I was tempted to almost just spend the whole of the £100 on giant yarn, but I thought, well, when else am I going to have an opportunity to try out different things? So I got the ribbon yarn, I got the giant yarn, I got a board of this, which I can't, it's either they're squiggly or they're wiggly. So again, this is just a really beautiful yellow colour. I feel like every episode I say this, my daughter loves yellow, and it's basically wearing off because rubbing off on me. Yeah, I went for this. It's really nice, sort of buttery, summery yellow colour. I think that I will either make something for her room, because I'm sort of doing her room up. Almost kind of had the idea that I might like to try and cover a lampshade or do something like that, or I might just make another cowl or something for me, because I really like the colour. It just makes me really happy. Like, it's not showing up very well on camera, but yeah, there's a really happy yellow colour. This again, I think it's their Squiggly, which is the acrylic blend, but there's a Wiggly, such good names, which is more of a natural fibres blend. And this, I don't even remember, this is a super chunky. So for contrast, this is my 4-ply, and this is the Wiggly Squiggly, whatever we're calling it. Really chunky. And last but not least, this is a 100-gram ball. Last but not least, I went for some more mustard, and I actually asked Amber of Thread the Love if she had any recommendations of which Woolly Mahoosive yarns I should go for, because I know that she's used quite a few herself, and she's also doing a few Woolly Mahoosive workshops with their yarn. She's based up in Rugby, if anybody fancies those. But yeah, I didn't know what to get, and she said, oh, what about their Borgo, oh, it's excellent pronunciation time again, Borgo de Pazzi yarns. They look good, so I was like, oh, okay. And on screen, I mean, the colours looked great, and they looked like really nice yarns, but they didn't look that chunky, and yet I could see that it said that they needed like a 20mm hook, so I was like, they must be. And it's one of those, I think, examples of where a picture doesn't do justice to the scale. Okay, so this is what arrived. Oh my god, look at it! It's amazing. But I swear, in the picture, it looked like just a normal skein size. Maybe just because of the way that they've skeined it. But yeah, so this is Eliza. Everybody, meet Eliza. Isn't she beautiful? I don't think the colour is showing up. This is probably more, yeah, it's mustard. Through and through, it's mustard. This is the Firenze. This is colour 67. 200 grams here, 90 meters. And it's 100% wool. Isn't it so nice? And it's just, construction-wise, just like a really loosely spun 2-ply wool. So nice. Yeah, so for this, I'm thinking of a cushion cover for my living room, or something for my living room. I would appreciate any stitch recommendations for this, because the yarn is so nice. I think it needs to be something quite open. Maybe I just do something really simple, but I almost don't want to open this because I feel like I'm going to ruin it. It's so nice. Can I just like hang it in my living room? Yeah, very beautiful. Look how big this is. Have you ever seen anything like this before? So whereas the other yarns are all Woolly Mahoosive design and production original to Woolly Mahoosive, I think this one is this is Borgo de Pazzi, so this is a separate company that she stocks, but yeah, so good. So that's what I got. That's what I got for my £100 spend. Not a bad quantity of yarn really for £100. I got this one. I'm not, should we try and hold them all? I've got my Borgo de Pazzi, I've got my yellow, I got my tape yarn, and my giant Woolly Mahoosive mammoth yarn. So there we are. That's what £100 gets you, folks. Oh no, I've reached the 40-minute crazy mark. There we go. 2 other new things that I have, which are all very useful for this yarn. I got 2 hooks I mentioned last time when I was trying to make my cloud cushion out of the Burnett Blanket Big that I only had a 20mm hook, and I thought I needed a 25 or a 30. So I bought these from Linda Crafts online. They came super quickly. Oh, what make are they? I think they're Knit Pro, and they were only sort of 6-7 quid each, so can't go wrong. Nice wooden hooks. If you're looking for somewhere to get super chunky hooks online in the UK, I'm guessing she probably does deliver internationally, but they came within like a day and a half. Linda Crafts where I got those. Yeah, so they came at the right time for my Woolly Mahoosive win as well. Oh, I feel like every podcast at the moment, I'm just showing you more and more yarn and less finished objects or things that I've actually made. But there we are. Hopefully in the future there will be more finished objects. I have 2 more things to tell you, one of which I've almost only just remembered. I almost filmed this podcast on Thursday afternoon. I had one of those weeks this week where nothing was normal and I worked different hours and I swapped my days, and then I had to go in for a meeting, and so the upshot was I had a few hours off on Thursday afternoon, and I thought I'll film the podcast and that would be perfect because I'm going to Yarndale this weekend. I fully thought that I was going to be in Yarndale today up until about Wednesday when I was chatting to the group of girls that I'm going to Yarndale with. For those of you who don't know, Yarndale is a yarn festival where lots of suppliers and yarn enthusiasts get together. There are workshops, there are lots of stalls, there's sort of knit and natter areas. I haven't been before, but I'm hoping that's what's happening. And it's up in Yorkshire. It's about 3.5 hours away from here. I'm going with a friend who lives locally, and then we are meeting up with a group of the girls who I talk to a lot on Instagram but have never met before, so that's exciting. And Kate of Jelly Bean Junction has been our super organised leader. She got us all together, she booked the accommodation, and she just happened to say in our kind of chat group where we've been organising things, oh, we can officially say, see you next week now. And I was like, but it's this week. What does she mean, see you next week? I have booked babysitters. I had arranged with my husband exactly like what was happening when I was leaving, who was having which car. And I was texting Jen, my friend who lives locally, about pickup details. She wasn't replying very quickly. I was like, we're going in a couple of days, like we need to get this organised. No, I just had completely the wrong weekend. So, that's why I'm filming on my normal day, because obviously I'm not in Yarndale. I'm in my house because I got the weekend wrong, but it also means that it's next weekend, and my husband had organised a load of events with, my husband had organised stuff with his friends in lieu of the fact that he thought I was going to be away all this weekend. I even sent him an Outlook meeting appointment for the weekend to say that I was in Yarndale this weekend. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why. For months I had thought it was this weekend, and I've written it on all our calendars. It's not this weekend, it's next weekend. I just thought that was funny. I just thought that's an example of me not being particularly well organised. So yeah, Yarndale was one thing. The other thing, which I'm going to count under the bracket of new things, is that I have a new job, and I mentioned it on Instagram the other day, and I briefly referenced it on the podcast last week, which some of you picked up on. And yeah, I am finally now in a position where I can tell everybody. I'm working my notice at my current job, and I have spoken to all my sort of contacts and authors in my current role, which I wanted to do first, although I was really excited to tell everybody online, to tell all you guys, because I feel like you will probably be more excited than my current workmates or whatever. But yeah, just as a courtesy and to do things in the proper order, I wanted to get everything official and lined up first. But my big news is I have a new job, and I have spoken before on here about how I work in publishing and how I really love working in publishing and I love books, but how I would also quite like to have a job that combines with crafts and with crochet, which is really what I have. Crochet specifically is what I've fallen in love with over the last couple of years, but I've always been into crafts of one kind or another. Basically just brought up doing different crafts each weekend with my mum. She owned a patchwork and quilting shop for many, many years and still pretty much does. She's sort of semi-retired now. And yeah, just the more I got into crochet and the kind of Instagram crowd and, you know, doing bits like my Instagram feed and then this podcast, yeah, the more I was like, oh, I would love if this was part of my job, but also, you know, I didn't want to suddenly, also couldn't really afford to suddenly quit my job and be like, okay, I'm a full-time freelance crochet designer now, because that's scary and quite a lot of pressure. And I'd seen my mum be self-employed for a number of years, and although there are definitely benefits, I think particularly if you have young children, sort of flexibility-wise, my current employer, they are very flexible in terms of hours, and it's only a few minutes from home, so there weren't really enough reasons for me to need to or have to quit my current role in order to suddenly just do crochet all the time. And yeah, I was also nervous that if I became a full-time crochet designer, I would kind of lose the love for it and the kind of relaxing mindfulness of it. So I started doing book reviews on this podcast as a way of kind of linking up the two and reviewing craft books. And I've said before how I would love to get into either craft book publishing or craft magazines, because that would be a really nice way to combine my publishing experience and my love of crafts. So I live in the Cotswolds in the UK. I live near Bristol. And in Bristol, there is a big magazine group called Immediate Media. They do all the BBC magazines. They have Radio Times under their umbrella. And they also have a big craft and women's portfolio. They have all the Simply magazines. They have Simply Crochet. They have Papercraft magazines. And they have sort of mindfulness and calm magazines. And I saw a job come up with them, and it was a part-time job, and the job title was commissioning editor, which is exactly what my job title at the moment is. So my role at the moment, I commission authors to write books for my company, and yeah, I couldn't believe it. I almost cried. I may have sort of, yeah, the deadline, I normally check their website quite frequently. The deadline was only a few days away. So I did my cover letter and I did my application, and my husband helped me, and I sent it off. And I kind of didn't hear anything, and it just sort of went to the back of my mind. And then about, a week later, I got a call for an interview, which blew my mind, point one. I had to prepare some ideas and plan some things, which I did. I spent a lot of time doing that, and I went for my first interview. And I felt like it went well. I felt like it went pretty well, but you never know, do you? And she mentioned a second interview at the end. I thought, well, that's promising. And then, a couple of days later, most stressful days of my life. No, not really. But yeah, I mean, that interview suspense, waiting for an answer is real, right? Anybody experienced that recently? I have been in my current role for about 7 years. Obviously I've had children, so I've had 2 maternity leaves in that period, but the tension. As I came out of the first interview, I kind of went, and then about half a day later I went, again, waiting for news. I was asked back for a second interview. I was even more excited, and then I had a hard week. My husband was away all week with work, and it was basically the week in between my first and second interviews. My second interview was then at the end of that week, I didn't sleep very well because he was away. I had the children by myself, so I was tired. I was still working part-time in my current role, and I was also trying to prepare for my interview. Oh my goodness. I think I exhausted myself with just the stress and the strain, but I went for my second interview and I met with the editor again and then the publishing director. That went really well. I don't know why I'm telling you in so much detail, but maybe because I'm trying to demonstrate how important it was to me and what a big deal it is for me. And yeah, after the second interview, I got a call and they offered me the job. I'm going to tell you who the magazine is now. I've got one down here. I am going to be, in a couple of weeks' time, starting my new role as commissioning editor, which means that I will, for a large part, be signing up designer makers to write tutorials and projects and features. And I'm going to be working for, are you ready? I can't almost believe that this is happening. So you may know, if you've watched the podcast a few times, that I had a pattern in Mollie Makes a few months ago, and that was exciting enough. And that was kind of coincidental because they'd approached me as a designer through Lottie Albert, and obviously now this application was just through their main website. But yeah, I'm so excited that I get to just look at all the crafts day in, day out. Well, part-time, day in, day out. I'm so excited. So yeah, I hope that was worth the suspense and the very long description of my interview process, because I'm so excited. I mean, there are small downsides. I've got a much longer commute. I'm working part-time, but it is a day more than I'm working at the moment, so you know, don't hate me. Not everything is perfect, right? There has to be compromises at some stages in our lives. I'm gonna start, and everything's gonna work out. It's gonna be fine. The commute won't bother me, honestly, it won't. No, but in all seriousness, I live in quite a remote location, so any job that or anything is going to require a bit more driving. I've been quite lucky up till now. But yeah, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I would have been excited to work on any of the immediate media craft publications, to be honest, but Mollie Makes is genuinely just, I don't know, just what I feel to be my aesthetic and the kind of projects I love anyway. So I can be, I mean, just look, this is this month's issue 84. Just look. It's all so beautiful. So yeah, and the Mollie Makes team are all really fun and cool. This weekend they are actually at Kirsty Allsop's Handmade Fair. They obviously have things like the Mollie Makes Craft Awards. So yeah, I can't wait to be going to things like that as well. So yeah. Everybody have a glass of bubbly on my behalf because I'm really thrilled. I started a thread in the Ravelry group. If anybody else would like to ask me a question, then please just pop in there. If you search in the group section on Ravelry for Lottie and Albert, then you should find our little group, quickly growing little group. I promise that I will be posting some more things in there. I loved reading the introduce yourselves thread that I started on the Ravelry group, and I was quite pleasantly surprised. So many of you are like multi-crafters. I was like, does anybody do anything else other than crochet? I swear, like maybe 20 people have commented. You've got every craft covered, every craft. We've got woodworkers, we've got weavers, we've got cross stitchers, embroidery, like everything is in there. So I'm really excited to read more of your comments and to have a bit of a conversation and dialogue over there. That's a nice place for it. Now I'm getting into Ravelry more. I keep falling down Ravelry pattern holes. Black holes, rabbit holes. There's so much on there, isn't there? It's a good space. So yeah, I've really rambled on today. So well done if you are still here at the end of the video. And thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed seeing my finished objects and works in progress and new things. And oh, the giveaway winner from last time, I have contacted and sent out her yarn cake to her, but thank you so much to everybody who entered. There were loads of you. Did have a little bit of a difficulty in that the first couple of names I drew weren't actually subscribers. Just slightly awkward. I then had to go back through the whole list and just draw from the subscribers who had commented. But there you go. I guess the prospect of free things is appealing to people. But it was a thank you to you, my subscribers. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for all your comments and your thumbs up and subscribing. And yeah, feel free to give me a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already, and you can join our Lottie and Albert team. That was terrible. That's not going to appeal to anyone. I'll see you all in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, I start my new job. So, yeah, on the inside scoop on how that goes. Oh, I'm going to have to be like new girl and pretend I'm cool in front of my colleagues. Or, yeah, that's a good example, because if you say the word cool, then you're almost definitely not cool. But yeah, new job tips. That's another thing you can help me with. Thank you so much. I will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Have a fabulous rest of your day, whatever you're up to, and a crafty 2 weeks. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Banana.
Charlie, can you say crochet?
Crochet.
Can you say wool?
Wool.
Say crochet.
Dropped.
Dropped. Uh-oh.